Hello, I'm Andrew Hennessy and welcome to the Outshore channel. I'd like to talk about truth. I mean, some people think that truth is a very negotiable thing, or some people think that some truths are better disguised as half-truths or no truth, or it's very interesting what we think truth is. Some people will think that truth is what we are brought up to believe, and some people find the truth really uncomfortable. Some people are happy with their truth and other people's truths are not the same as their truth, but we're all living in the world together, so everybody can have their own truth and whatever truth that is. But if we're really an academic into logic and science and stuff like that, truth takes on a different perspective. Truth is logically either 1 or 0, it's either true or false. Supposing you had a theory like the Big Bang Theory, as you'll discover from any website, the Big Bang Theory is a massive cornerstone building block upon which we allegedly understand the universe. Which is great, that sounds fantastic, doesn't it? The Big Bang Theory. It's such a wonderful theory that people make TV programs out of it. Comedy is part of the common language. And even the Catholic Church has decided to adopt the Big Bang Theory as the theory of the universe that we should all ascribe to, because it's scientific, everybody seems to agree to it. And people will say, people in tweed jackets, white coats, will pay their mortgage as long as they subscribe to it, of course. The Big Bang Theory is taught everywhere. The only problem with this idea is that the Big Bang is actually a theory, it's not actually a law-like fact. It's a theory. Theory is a bunch of constructs called conjectures that people put together. And technically, because this is proper scientific practice is that if you see anything that contradicts that theory, then if it's real contradictions, you drop the theory, you discard the theory, you chuck it out, you trash it, and you start again, go back to the drawing board and start again. I say it because the Big Bang is, of course, is a very, it's a very widely reputed and taught theory, and everybody's got great things to say about the Big Bang Theory. The only problem is that from about 1992, there's been a collection of refutations of the Big Bang Theory. I mean, there's a whole website called thebigbangneverhappened.org. And that's by a guy called Lerner. Now, the Big Bang Never Happened book in 1992 pointed out huge numbers of refutations of the Big Bang Theory. And now today, I think, many years later, the Big Bang Theory has got so many refutations. It's like a vampire, you can't kill it. The Big Bang Theory will just not die. Even with the laws of logic and common sense pointing against it, the Big Bang Theory is just there to stay. In fact, it's made such a good job of not dying when it should have been refuted over 20 years ago, obviously. As I say, if you go to the website thebigbangneverhappened.org, you'll find a whole bunch of scientific refutations. Now, what is a refutation? Let me just explain this to you, because people don't seem to think that one refutation is enough for anything. It should be. The laws of logic have it that you can say, for instance, the kind of logic that we're not employing as a species, in fact, which is, I suppose, why the planet's in the state it's in, is that we refuse to acknowledge logic. Logic? What is logic? 1 and 1 is 2. No, it really is. 1 and 1 really is 2. 1 what and 1 what? Well, that's another question entirely, but 1 and 1 is 2. Here's a logical argument for you. You can say that all UFOs, if you're a skeptic and you've made your life getting on to believers about because they've seen alien UFOs and all that stuff, arguing with people from a position of great height that UFOs are just all in the mind, they're psychological, perfectly reasonable explanations, they're natural explanations, they're Chinese lanterns, they're Mars gas, they're planet Venus magnified by an atmospheric lens, they're you know, child's helium toy, they're camera artifacts, they're actually plovers illuminated by street lighting, they're birds, they're natural objects, they're bags blowing in the wind, they're anything but an alien spacecraft. If you've been arguing that for years, you can be sitting there, you're saying all UFOs are perfectly reasonable natural objects. Say all UFOs can be explained by ordinary, plausible, ordinary reasoning. You can say there is not one UFO that is an alien object. And you can say that's taking the universal. When you say all like that, it's a universal. Now, by the laws of logic, if you see one refutation, if you see one thing that totally refutes that idea, it's just one, not a million, not 100,000, not miles of camcorder footage, not a million NASA photographs. If you just see one thing, only one, logically only takes one good image from NASA, and you should completely toss out this idea that all UFOs are fictions of the imagination. You can only say, well, if you see one thing happening, it's some UFOs are fictions of the imagination and some are real. So by logic, you've gone from the universal where you say all, and now you can only say that some are this and some are that. Now go back to the Big Bang Theory. I mean, it should only take one, logically, by the laws of logic, it should only take one refutation of the Big Bang Theory to completely go back to the drawing board. One. There are hundreds and hundreds of refutations of the Big Bang Theory, and that's a scientific theory that has not changed. Right, now what doesn't change on this planet is these major theories, like the Higgs's massless vector boson. I mean, that's the God particle. Can you imagine in a universe where there's absolute chaos, they try and find somewhere in the universe that does not have elements of chaos in it? I challenge you, just as a skeptic, you know, refute me, prove me wrong, point to somewhere where there is no chaos in this universe at fractal levels and whatever. Find somewhere in this absolutely chaotic universe. Now I'm saying, and my conjecture, absolute chaos in this universe, and absolute means everywhere. You'll find chaos everywhere you look for it in this universe. Now that isn't the case, of course, with Stephen Hawking's theory of the universe. Stephen Hawking's theory of the universe is that everything's totally regular. Nothing but regular linear regularity. Then you get to a black hole and there's a little bit of chaos at the black hole. I mean, does that not seem bizarre to you? If you go and look out your window, you'll see chaos in the clouds, you'll see chaos in the leaves, in the grass. If you take a microscope, you'll see chaos in the rust patterns on your car, or you'll see chaos everywhere you look for it. But Hawking says no chaos, no chaos, just chaos around black holes. Because Hawking for a while was promoting the idea that coming out of black holes were just discarded antiparticles. He must have got the shock of his life when a big bunch of stellar matter came whizzing out black holes. That had to give him a little shock, certainly. Anyway, but at the end of the day though, basically these scientific geniuses that are locking us into this dark age in these cul-de-sacs with these ridiculous paradoxes and ridiculous scientific ideas, we're locked into this stuff and logic cannot change it. Reasonable logic cannot change it. A good example of the kind of thing that the ordinary person with common sense would not have stood in front of hundreds of respectable people and told them that women were not, you know, were not rational people in laboratory environments. And that was that Tim Hunt, wasn't it? You know, Nobel. I mean, you win a Nobel Prize in science doesn't mean to say that you're the most logical person on the planet yourself. See, logic and reason, it's just, there's nothing reasonable about what he said. It wasn't reasonable, but he thought it was. Now, this whole thing about logic and reason seems to have deserted us. If you look at how, on the basis of what we know about the Big Bang, a little bit of research on the Big Bang and all the refutations of the Big Bang, how the heck can you possibly get a Catholic Church, the Catholic Church, adopting the Big Bang Theory? Now, what is the Big Bang Theory anyway? The Big Bang Theory says that, you know, at time one, big explosion, blat, and then matter expands. It expands into entropy, and then there's heat death, and then it dies. So basically, it's a theory of the seasons. You know, there's a spring, there's a summer, there's an autumn, and there's a winter, and everybody dies. It's death. It's death. Somehow, for some reason, the Catholic Church has embraced this theory of cosmic death. It's the death of the cosmos, the Big Bang. It doesn't actually work like that, because in truth, the ether that nobody is supposed to acknowledge exists, there's ether, and there's chaos theory, and there's rewarming. So the cosmos is expanding and contracting and heating and cooling, and it's this endless cycle of heating and recooling. You've got this second law of thermodynamics, but you've also got the forbidden chaos law of emergence. Emergence puts the energy back into the system, reheats it, rewarms it. That's chaos theory. You will see a lot of chaos theory going about these days, but that's another story. We can get to that. But anyway, what I'm saying about the Big Bang Theory, the Big Bang Theory is a theory that everybody and their brother and sister has gone for hook, line and sinker. And the worst of it all is that it's been turned into a central pillar of religious belief as well, which is quite interesting actually, that the Big Bang has ended up as religious belief, because it does seem that there's a lot of scientists are blindly putting their faith in the Big Bang Theory, or the God particle of the Big Bang Theory seems to be more a subject of religious fervour than it is an exercise in scientific reason and logic. Because although the Big Bang Theory has been around a long time, hundreds and hundreds of refutations cannot stop it in its tracks. It's like we've totally embraced this big folly, this bizarre stupidity called the Big Bang Theory, and that can't be good for our future. We're certainly never going to get out of the cul-de-sac we're in at the moment if we just refuse to use logic and discard a bad theory when we hear it.